Hi again, and welcome to Pearl Magazine. Hong Kong has always been a study in dramatic contrasts. A city of fabulous wealth filled with luxury brand shops, expensive cars, and infamously high residential prices, but also immense poverty. The latest government figures show 1 in 5 people are living below the poverty line, and the problem is getting worse. As the pandemic continues to hammer the economy, unemployment has soared to a level not seen in 17 years. Tonight, a close-up look at the struggles many are facing. With minimal income, little food, and no shelter, just existing in Hong Kong is a daily struggle to survive.
Aman was a chef making about $20,000 a month. But just over half a year ago, he lost his job in one of the worst economic downturns in history. Aman joined the ranks of street sleepers when his savings ran out.
Job guarantees shelter. No job, no income for rent means no roof over my head. That's why I have to sleep in the park. I came to Hong Kong in my early teens. Never have I experienced something like this.
Despite the hardship, he says he is lucky to have free meals from charity groups.
You must fill the stomach first. Hopefully the pandemic will be over soon so we can get back to normal life and work. You can ask the government for help. The government won't help you. We better just rely on ourselves.
Half a year on, Aman is still unemployed.
I never expected the impact would be so huge. It just kept getting worse, even worse than the days of the financial crisis.
With the help of an NGO, Aman has found temporary shelter. But he is worried about the cramped space and poor air circulation, which he thinks could lead to infection. Every morning he comes to the park, reading the paper and listening to music.
Sometimes people just leave the newspapers after they finish reading. So I check on current affairs and global news. But recruitment ads are few and far between.
For regular meals, Aman relies on lunch boxes by church groups.
Sometimes I eat only one lunchbox the whole day. I eat very little. 4 days of free meals a week, so I get 4 lunchboxes. That's 1 meal per day.
In December last year, the government published a report on Hong Kong's latest poverty situation. The number of those living below the poverty line soared to a record high. People like Aman have now fallen below it for the first time. And for those already living in poverty, the situation has only gotten worse. Mrs. Leung is a housewife. The couple has 2 daughters studying in primary school. She and her family of 4 applied for a public flat 7 years ago. But they're still stuck inside the subdivided flat in To Kwa Wan. Her husband is the family's sole breadwinner, who spends half his security guard's monthly income on the flat's rental. After that, there's very little left for anything else. To save on buying textbooks, the original plan was to let their younger daughter use her sister's old Primary 2 textbook. But since the publisher has issued a new edition, the family must now fork out extra money. The husband is a nighttime security guard who used to earn a stable income. During the pandemic, his working hours and income were reduced. So he switched companies and now works longer hours, but makes 30% less than his original salary. He says he's never thought about applying for the Comprehensive Social Security Assistance, or CSSA.
You are able-bodied. You should work for a living. No matter how tough, you must keep going. It's a must.
After Mr. Leung returns home, Mrs. Leung must go to school to get their younger daughter's homework, then goes to the wet market. Despite the convenience of a bus stop downstairs, Mrs. Leung insists on walking 20 minutes to school.
It is a bit far for children, but bus fares are expensive. $6.80 for one person. That's more than $10 for 3 of us. So I said no bus ride. If I can save $2 on each item, I can save more than $100 a month. Food is pricey, so it is really easy to go over budget. I must calculate carefully. I haven't made soup for 6 months already.
With a smaller income, the family must find ways to live an even more frugal life. Mrs. Leung is hoping to find a job to support the family.
I've checked them all. Quite a few I will apply if they fit me. Several dozen now. I check them whenever I have time. I'm afraid of missing any. I applied for these before, but they said I wasn't suitable.
Mrs. Leung has no work experience, so it's hard for her to compete for a job amidst the high unemployment rate. Society for Community Organization representative Si Lai Shan has been caring for the poor for over 20 years. As a member of the Commission on Poverty, Si says the government has failed to establish a clear target on poverty alleviation. The COVID-19 pandemic has pushed underprivileged people and the poor into a corner.
The problem has accumulated through the years. The poor are vulnerable. I used to know many families who lived just below the poverty line. Now they're all below. The phone keeps ringing. Many people are really helpless.
I do not meet any requirement for government subsidies. I can only seek help from NGOs.
Her group used to serve an average of 8,000 cases a year. Since the pandemic, they're serving an extra 3,000 cases. She says she's disappointed the government would not establish an unemployment compensation fund to help out these people, and insists people in need should apply for CSSA instead. She says many of her cases say they hope to earn their own income. The number of people living in poverty has reached 1.49 million. The government says the number should really be 640,000 after the various assistance schemes are taken into account. These include the extra CSSA bonus and public monthly rental exemption. Still, does this mean people are really out of poverty? Grandma Kwong used to be a cleaner. She lost her job a few years ago after she gradually lost her eyesight due to diabetes. She was forced to apply for the CSSA. Today, she is going to the hospital for a follow-up checkup. Because of her poor vision, her sister must accompany her. Kwong's eyesight continues to deteriorate. She requires injections to her eyes, but a single treatment costs about $40,000. She pays for it with her MPF savings and government partial subsidy. If her condition continues to worsen, the injections are a must.
The doctor says if I don't receive the injection, I will become blind. If that's the case, I don't know what I can live on.
The CSSA can only cover her daily spending, but not her medical expenses. So she must live a very frugal life. On Chinese New Year's Eve, when most families gather for a big feast, Kwong is having a simple meal.
Everything is pricey during the New Year time. I just cook something simple for myself.
Usually, Kwang tries to earn a few dollars by scavenging cardboard. Tonight after dinner, she goes down to check as usual.
I have to work hard to earn a few bucks. Business is impacted by the pandemic, so cardboard use is halved. If I can collect some, at least I can buy some vegetables or cookies. That's what I think.
Aman got to know a group of volunteers when he was homeless. They've now become friends. They made an appointment to celebrate New Year's Eve together. Aman brought the lamb stew he cooked.
I feel so happy. I haven't experienced this vibe for long. I feel more warm-hearted inside this year. After some time, I finally found a shelter to live in, and I can cook on my own.
Aman says he's grateful he can go through dark times with kind-hearted people around him.
These may be the most difficult days of my life. I've never had to worry about my daily necessities before. Hopefully, the pandemic will ease a bit after the new year, and I can get a job soon.
After the break, a glimpse into the future of public hospitals. Could a robot soon be your healthcare provider? Stay with us. Welcome back. The COVID-19 pandemic has put public healthcare systems around the world under immense pressure. In Hong Kong, our healthcare workers are doing their best to cope with the added workloads to provide service as usual. Still, long waits at the A&E and a shortage of manpower are just a few of the chronic burdens. So the public sector is looking to automate with new technologies. Tina Jiang met with medical experts to find out how smart these new smart technologies really are, and when can we expect the future to arrive?
係你好，請問有咩幫到你㗎？嗱，周床叫咩名㗎？好啊，你等等啦，我哋而家揾人出嚟啦。
Tin Shu Wai Hospital has recently added this robot to their staff.
係小姐，你而家可以將個湯擺落去幫我手度㗎啦。哦，好啊，我放咗落去啦。
At public hospitals all over Hong Kong, visiting has been suspended amid the COVID-19 pandemic. But thanks to this robot, the risk of infection can be reduced as human staff no longer have to make deliveries to patients.
We bought two is a multifunction machine that we are going to deploy to the ward area for giving the education to the patient and also handing the stuff to the patient as well.
Stephen Lam is the manager of the hospital. He says the hospital now has an entire robot family working for them.
Here is the beautiful lady, Maria. She is an automatic floor scrubbing machine for the normal day and night. If the people mopping the floors when the guest is here, it's less desirable. But with the Maria help, we can do that kind of job during the overnight time and saving the manpower to do other tasks in the daytime. This one is the tugger. They're very strong. They're macho men. They can lift up heavy stuff. So we use it for handling of linen items.
Tugger is said to be able to lift a maximum of 500 kilos. Hiring this robot is no small investment. It costs around $600,000. But Lam says the potential risk of manual handling can be significantly reduced. Doctors also have new devices to speed up their work.
係，你叫咩名？係，點啊？覺得 in the ward round, now we have the handheld device so that we can, on one hand, to talk to the patient,
On the other hand, we have all the clinical information on the handheld device so that we can do the assessment, order the tests, and order treatment for the patient. It's quite time-saving.
All doctors in this hospital can now check their patients with these smart devices under the One Doctor, One Pad pilot scheme, which started in 2017.
In the old days, everything should be written on the papers, including the patient records, the medical documents, or even a drug prescription. There may be some risk because we may need to handle a lot of papers. It's time-consuming, and the paper may get lost. My handwriting is not so neat. It may cause a bit of miscommunication.
Dr. Lai has been working in public hospitals since he finished medical school about 20 years ago.
In the past, we are less flexible because we need to stick to the desktop in the workstation. But there's a lack of space. We cannot install a lot of computers. So that the doctors and nurses may need to fight for the computers to work.
He says record keeping has changed over the years, going from paper to soft copies that can be added on the go.
Just like other colleagues at the beginning, there is maybe some hesitation or reservation. But afterwards, we get used to the new system. We can see all the benefits. In the past, we don't have this electronic panel. We just put the cards head of the bed. Every time the patient has changed to another one, then we have to take out all the cards and then put in the new cards. With this electronic panel, we can switch the information inside via the computers so that it could cause less risk of mixing the information among the patients.
In 2018, Hong Kong was ranked #1 as the most efficient medical care system in the world. But it's not without its flaws, including extremely long waiting times and manpower shortages. Today, the system is facing a new challenge, the high life expectancy of Hong Kongers. We have the longest life expectancy in the world.
As our population in Hong Kong continues to get older, in fact, their healthcare demands keep on rising very quickly. And as you know, it's not going to be possible to just keep on hiring more and more doctors and nurses. We have to work smarter to be able to deal with this in the future. And like I said, the automation becomes part of that. Instead of having people do everything, can we offload a lot of that work to computers and robots? If we can use these sorts of tools, automation and so forth, so that people have to spend less time doing sort of low-value routine work, they can actually spend more time dealing with the actual patient things they need to.
Dr. Chung has been leading the IT team since he joined the hospital authority almost 30 years ago. He says the general idea is to focus on 2 pilot hospitals to build up these technologies and then gradually roll out to other public hospitals.
Our hospitals are all, some of them are actually quite old buildings, right? So there are, some things might be difficult, that's true. I'm going to encourage them all to take up as much as they can. They might have to buy some stuff. There might be some financial constraints as well. But in general, the idea is that they should be able to adopt many of them, if not all. Over the coming years, they'll gradually all become smarter and smarter.
However, another medical expert says actual adoption of technology at hospitals may not be easy.
Some people, they are more IT savvy. Some people, they hate about IT. We have very senior professors before they refuse to type into the electronic computer systems because they really love the old ways they are writing and talking to the patients. In the old hospital, sometimes even the paperless system hasn't been adopted very well. In the clinics, some they don't have papers. The records are all electronic. And some, they still giving you a big pile of records. I think that's a good trend. But at the moment, I think the resources, training, and also the whole teamwork on this part is perhaps not yet reached the optimum level.
A patient app launched 2 years ago was meant to cut queuing time for appointments and payments. But Dr. Ho is concerned that some elderly may not be able to use it.
They're age about 60, if they cannot even handle their smartphone, what will you imagine if they can really book online and then navigate through the informed consent process and then electronically sign their things? Perhaps not. During the process, certain people will be left out, and then maybe they just feel, oh, this hospital is no more for me. I would rather just wait a queue and then chat with another folk, but now everything is online. That really deter me coming into the hospital to receive service. I still think the gist of the hospital is about treating patients well, and this system, they should serve the people there and make them more efficient, but rather than create other barriers that would defeat the whole purpose.
Dr. Ho worked in the public healthcare system for over 20 years before starting his own practice. He worries that new technologies may also mean less human touch.
Sometimes we are complaining about we're typing too much, but we're really not entertaining the need of the patient care in a direct way. The verbal, non-verbal clues, eye contact, and a little smile that really bring in confidence and trust, and also may affect the eventual outcome.
Dr. Pierre Chan agrees.
Whenever the patients ask some questions, for example, doctors, I want to know, I just have a blood test. What is the result? Okay, turn, computer. The blood test is okay. And then when I just go back to the patients, and then the patient's second questions will come. So this is one of the problems. We have a very good electronic patient system, but I was distracted from the patients and attached to the computer. And I keep reminding myself, please, go back to the patients. Yes, because they want to see the doctors.
Dr. Chan has been working in public hospitals for 20 years. He is also a lawmaker.
2 years ago, some legislative member held a meeting of rare diseases and meet different healthcare workers from different countries and places, including Taiwan, Singapore. I replied them by introducing, we have the CMS, the patient record system in the hospital authority, and also we have the electronic patient record and across different hospitals. And even share with the private and also to the other sectors. All those people in that meeting expressed that in their country and places, they do not have that system. So we are proud of, we have a very extensive electronic patient record system, but this is not the end.
Similar smart technologies are just a way to make things better. So if they don't make things better, then we don't do it. We don't do it just because it'll make us look good, right? If something comes in and it actually makes the patient interaction worse, then, well, we'll have to really look at it. There's lots of room for improvement. But, we didn't start off with a fantastic system either. You had to build it up over time. So I've seen the HA grow up from a very manual, totally paper-based environment to having a really quite a decent digital system now. And I can see that we're moving into the future with a lot more.
That's Pearl Magazine for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.